Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you may be watching this. Welcome to RCSO, On the Scene with RCSO. This is podcast episode 2, and I have the Sheriff, Richard Roundtree, with us today. How you doing, Sheriff?
Doing good. Glad to see the podcast is back.
Oh yeah. I heard you're a big fan of the podcast.
That's what the rumor is, right?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Well, there you go. Like I say, it's growing on me. How about that?
So, first, I saw that you used to do a little thing on YouTube yourself with riding along and having your camera going.
Call one to dispatch. Yeah, I want to get back into that. Like I say, I promised the people season 2, which call one to dispatch in the streets. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely going to come. Kind of in the middle of a campaign season right now, so I had to put that on hold. But definitely, I want the people to know that is coming back. People kind of enjoy that, and I enjoy doing it. Okay,
so you'll say you're pretty big and pretty interested with how social media helps the sheriff's office.
Yeah, that's the trend now. Like I said, now I've been in law enforcement over 30 years, so I'm old school. So it wasn't the social media when I first started back. And but as I become sheriff and as I've grown in my career, and some of the conferences I went to, some of the training I've done, I've seen a lot of agencies really embrace the social media aspect to promote their agency, to tell their story, to tell their truth. A lot of success stories out there. It takes a while, I guess, to get it going, get started, but I've seen a lot of success stories. So I always tell my people I'm not opposed to any idea. Let's swing for the fences. So when this idea was brought to me about starting it here within our agency, I embraced it, and I'm looking forward to seeing it grow.
Okay. So like you said, it is election time.
So yeah.
How do you feel about being reelected as your position?
Well, this is my 4th election, so I'm no stranger to it.
Okay.
12 years ago, it's a whole different experience. A lot of missteps, a lot of learning curves. But I've been doing this 12 years. I'm lucky enough to be elected 3 times by the people. Each time, the margin of the election grows, so that's good. That means more people are getting involved, more people are paying attention, more people are supporting the efforts of the sheriff's office. So that's a great thing about judging an election over the years. If you can grow that base, it shows that you and your agency are doing some things right. So, I'm excited about it. Have some competition again. I've yet to run unopposed. Mm-hmm. So like I said, it's nothing new, but I'm excited about it. I'm used to it. When I'm in the street, people tell us they appreciate what a good job that the sheriff office is doing, what a good job I'm doing. And my response to them all the time is, I have a great team. I went and voted in the presidential election this past Tuesday, and had some people come out and say, "Hey, y'all doing a great job." And my response to them just then was, "Hey, I got a great team." So people see the product, they see the body of work, and I think that speaks for itself. So I think everything else will just take care of itself.
Yeah, I agree. So with you being out in the street and the people talking to you, I'll go to the gym and I play ball with some older guys around the city, and we're always talking. You never know what conversation come up. It's like guy talk. You know how it is. So I was there one morning, and people were talking about how you may not be so into like giving back to the community, or you're more worried about yourself or something like that. What is your response to that?
Well, I think those people are just misinformed to the fact that my whole sheriff office administration has been giving back to the public. That's what we do. That's why we created this division, the community service division. We created that when I became sheriff. We do a burgers and shakes every year. We do a kids and cops camp. I do a charity gala every year where we give back. We've given back over $100,000 since I've been sheriff in the years. Donated to charities. We participate in the parades. I think a lot of times people just see some of the negative stuff that comes out, and when you talk about social media again too, that's the thing about social media too, that usually the malcontents are always the loudest.
Right.
And the people who really appreciate it, they just kind of sit silent and just blow it off. But the ones who are trying to make a point, who are trying to be loud, always have the negative ideas. So, you can just look at our body of work or the things that we've done. We do a youth explorer camp. I go to all those graduations, Citizen Police Academy, go to all those graduations. I speak at every Citizen Police Academy. So, we're out there. I'm out there. Our agency is to be a part of the community. So, I think if people just take time to see exactly what we do, and hopefully, like I said, you with this podcast and some of the things that highlighting, kind of show people some of the things that we're doing that they might not see every day, that the news is not going to show them. Because as we know, the news is a business, and people don't realize that. They are looking for ratings. So, the saving the puppet stories don't really get the news
right.
As the shootings or the robberies and stuff. So, people get those the information from those 30-minute newscasts, which again, they're designed to get viewerships, and unfortunately, they say blood and gut sales. So, and like I said, I just encourage people just do the research, and if you have an opinion, just have an informed opinion.
Right. So, when it comes to that, after all you said, we hear how involved you are with the community, and community has to trust the people they elect, right? So, do you feel like you've done a good job with building the trust with the community? Yeah,
that's why I say when I was talking about before, when we were talking about my election numbers, each year they're gone up. When I first started, people didn't really know what kind of administration I would have in 2012. And by then I won about 63% of the vote, maybe. I know it was in the 60s. But people just didn't know what my administration was going to look like. They didn't know what I was going to do, what changes I was going to make, what improvements I was going to make. So they were skeptical. 4 years went by. We came out swinging. Did a lot of programs. Institute, like I said, again, this community service division, which was designed to go out and promote the sheriff's office and promote community engagement. The next 4 years, it went up to over 70%. So that means we gained a little bit more following. After the 8 years, the previous election, it was over 85% that I got elected by Martin. So that kind of just shows that over the years, that people are gaining and seeing what we're doing, and gaining that trust and gaining that momentum to the fact that they see the product. They're trusting in the product. They're believing in the product. And, that's basically what, I want them to see and what my re-election campaign is going to be about.
Yeah, okay. So we know that trust isn't a one-way street, though. So do you trust the community or your supporters and your team? How do you feel with the other side of the trust? They have to trust you, but do you trust them?
Well, and that's a great point where you say trust the public and my team. That's the first thing. I got to trust my team. I got to trust my team to invoke my vision, the vision that I have for this community. And I tell people I love this community. I was born and raised in this community. This community has given me so much. Like I said, public school graduate. I walked to school, every school I went to. So I had a relationship with the people in the community, and it's good to go back that I become sheriff and I see some of my old teachers, because sometimes I wasn't the best student as far as behavior-wise, and then they had to kind of get me straight and get me on the straight and narrow. But so first of all, like I said, I got to trust my team to see my vision of what I want, that we are a service agency. We're not just report takers. We're just not crime fighters. Right. Like I said, I've been in law enforcement 30-something years, and I worked violent crimes and homicide for over 15 years. So I know as a crime fighting agency, we do an outstanding job. That's not hard for us. We've been doing that for a very long time. The service part is what I saw it was like, and we were just kind of going to calls, taking reports, and moving on. And that's what I wanted to change. So I had to change the philosophy of my people, saying, look, when we go to a call takes as long as it takes to resolve it. Right. Don't just go take the report and leave. Go back and follow up on it. See if the next week, did people get resolved? Build that relationship up. So once I trust my team to go out and say, this is what I want to do. This is what my vision is for this agency as a service agency. Go out and build that with the public. And then if they do that and the public can see, they can talk to them and they can see that they have this understanding and that they're going to be there for them, then the public is going to start giving us information when things happen. Like I said, when I worked homicide for those 10, 15 years, and my success rate wasn't because I was just a great homicide investigator. That wasn't about my skills. It was about the fact that people would trust me to give me information. That's how I was able to solve the majority of my cases, because people would say, look, I know he believes in this community. I know he wants to take killers off the street. And they would call in information, and then they would trust that I would keep that information confidential.
Right.
So that's what we got to do with the public when we talk about solving crimes. We got to build that back up where when people, you can easily say when you see something, say something. We tell people, get involved in something. If you see something, get involved into it. Take the extra time to look out for your neighbor's house. If you see a suspicious car, to write the tag number down. Just don't peep out the window.
Right.
Go outside and investigate. Go and kind of look. I ain't telling you to get involved or go intervene, but get involved. It's easy, like I say, to say, see something, say something. But like I say, let's trust the community to get involved, and that's the way we make a safer community. Because remember, our goal is not the elimination of crime. That is never going to happen.
It's not.
Our job is the reduction of crime. That is what we do, but we have to do that as a community. We can't do that as a law enforcement entity. We have to do it as a community. So that's why you say that trust, like you said, is a two-way street, but it is vitally important to making your community actually safer.
I agree. And that was another thing that they brought up at the gym, saying trying to eliminate crime and all of that, but you can never just eliminate it all the way. So
yeah, especially people, and I don't want to sound negative about this, but people don't realize Augusta is a major city.
It is.
And a lot of people haven't ventured outside of Augusta. They haven't seen a lot of the world.
Ever.
So they don't have anything compared to. So when they say, oh, this is happening because if you travel, you'll see, if you compare Augusta stats to some of the other major cities, people will be flocking to come here. And then you also know that too, most people, when they come and work and play in Richmond County, then they go back to other counties to live, what they call the bedroom community. So even though we got 200,000 people, we can easily swell to $350,000 during the day or the night, because the entertainment district is here, and most of the job and opportunities are in Richmond County.
Right.
So even though your population is 200,000, during the day when those people come in to work, and the evening when they come to play, now your city becomes a city of 300,000.
Right.
And you still have that law enforcement element who's responsible for those people. So people don't realize this is a major city. But if you compare us to other major cities, then you'll see that our numbers are extremely low. Like I said, last year, I think we had a little under 40 homicides. You go to Columbus, Macon, Bibb, had over 100.
Yeah.
And we're bigger than them.
Right.
But people don't see that because they haven't been anywhere. They haven't been traveling and seen the world.
Some people don't want to see it though. Like you said, they just want to see the negative.
They want to see the negative, and that's what they want to talk about. So, but that's why I said I don't mind anybody having an opinion, good or bad, of the sheriff's office. I just want it to be an informed decision. Make it based on truthful information.
All right. So let's back up. You say you grew up around here.
Yeah.
So where did you go to high school?
I went to T.W. Jones High School. Yeah, on 15th Street. I'm an Eagle. One of the Eagle brothers. So shout out to all my Eagle brothers out there. So
you still against Laney, or you still got something going with Laney?
Well, back then that was a big rival.
Yeah.
That was a huge rival. But it was fun though. It was fun. But yeah, it was Joseph versus Laney back in the 80s. But again, throughout my career, I had opportunity to work in the school system for 3 years. I was head of operations for the security for the school before I became sheriff. So I got to travel to all the schools and meet people and stuff. So I understand each school has their challenges, and each school has their own pride and everybody. So the rivalry, I can hang out with Wildcats now and talk about the old days. And it's fun to talk about the way it used to be, where you could have those rivalry that didn't turn confrontational, that didn't turn violent, that you just had that school pride, and we can joke and jive with each other and crack jokes and all day long, and nobody gets upset, nobody pulls a gun, nobody pulls a knife, no shooting, no fisticuffs, no anything. And that's what I wish that some of our young kids can get back to today. They kind of lost the conflict resolution skills, where we can have this healthy joke and jive and session with one another, and nobody gets offended. At the end of the day, we just go hang out together and just good, clean fun. And
too much pride now, man.
That's
Everybody got to prove a point, or at least they feel like they have to prove a point.
Yeah, it's this thing. Everybody talking about I don't want to be disrespected.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's not disrespect. If me and you just voicing our opinions, and I'm telling you my opinion, you telling me yours, and that's it. It's not disrespecting you. I'm just telling you the way I feel, But
they can't handle it these days.
No, that's one of the things, and that's another thing about the community when I tell individuals when we're talking about law enforcement getting into the community. It has to start at home. It can't start in school. When we talk about the robbery in school, these people go back home to neighborhoods. They go back home to their homes. So it has to be that family dynamic where we are engaged in our kids' lives. And I used to tell parents all the time, nothing happens in your child's life, good or bad, that doesn't have an effect on that child's attitude and behavior. There's going to be a change.
Right.
But if you're not there to see it, you can't react to it, and you can't change it. Next thing you know, you're getting a call or a knock at your door saying, your son was killed in the streets of Augusta. And you didn't realize, I didn't even know he was hanging out in that group. I didn't know he was out that time of night. So, that's one of the other community aspects of it. And a lot of people say that, and that's one of the reasons that I actually ran for sheriff in this job. People have said that that's not our job, but it absolutely is. It is our job, but it's a community job. We're there to embrace the things that happen in the community. But like I said, I worked homicide for 10 years. That's one of the worst things I ever had to do is when I go knock on a mother's door and tell them their son was never coming home.
Yeah.
But then when you go back and you peel back the pieces, that child had been hanging out. Right. He has reports. Behavior in school, he'd been suspended, been written up. Teachers been had problems. When you go back and, like I said, peel back the layers, it was so many things that were happening in that child's life before I got involved and had to knock on that door.
Right.
So the parents, we got to get involved and realize what our kids are doing, who they're hanging out with, and where they are.
So they were missing the signs that were telling them ahead
of time. That hey, my child is going down a path that I need to intervene before this child gets in trouble. I say this all the time. We have a gang element here in Richmond County, and that's why we established a gang unit. But I told them, there are no homeless gang members. There's no homeless gang members. All these people involved in gangs in Richmond County that we arrest, or they're going out shooting up these houses and stuff, every night they go to somebody's house.
Yeah, they sleep somewhere.
Every night. Mm-hmm. There are no homeless gang members. None. Right. So what is that telling you? They're going, those guns that they have, they're taking them into people's homes every night. Mm-hmm. Same guns that they're using to shoot up the streets of Augusta and kill each other. They're under somebody's roof every night. And you as a homeowner or a parent or an involved parent should know what's coming underneath your roof.
Yeah, I agree. So as sheriff, what is one thing that you see that's under your wing or that's going on still that you wish you had more of a grasp on? Like we just said, the gangs, the guns on the streets going into people's houses, or just the homicides, or whatever it may be. What is something that you wish you had more of a grasp on that you could have more of an impact with?
Without a question, is gun violence, especially among young African American males. Mm-hmm. It is, for lack of a better term, becoming an epidemic. And I've said it, and like I said, I can say it with conviction because I have two sons. Mm-hmm. Right now in Richmond County, we got little black boys killing little black boys.
All day long.
And that's the reality of it. Mm-hmm. And if we don't see that as a community, if we don't get a grasp of that, mm-hmm. it's going to continue to get worse and worse because, as you can see, when I worked homicide back in the early 2000s, you were talking about between 18 and 25 was most of our either victims or people suspected of homicide. Now, you're 13 to 17. Just last year where we had two 15-year-olds that got shot. 15. Mm-hmm. We had an 8-year-old that ended up shooting a sibling.
Yeah, age is going down.
And that's unnatural.
Yeah.
That's unnatural for an 8-year-old to shoot another child, or a 13-year-old to have a gun and shoot another child, especially out of anger.
Yeah.
Now, I can see something being an accident. But when you talk about malice, when I meant to point the gun at a person and pull the trigger at 13.
13, yeah.
Something is wrong. I mean, we have no value on life if we can point a gun at somebody at 13 and expect nothing but a good outcome. So something is missing there. So, going back to your original question, I wish I had the answer to that. I wish I did. And I don't want to sound self-righteous and keep going back and say, parents got to get involved in their children's lives.
It definitely upbringing.
But it's that's what I'm saying. These children in these neighborhoods and going back to these homes, that's where it starts. That is where it starts. So, anything we can do at the sheriff's office to help that, I'm more than willing to do it. But this is a community problem. But first, we got to acknowledge it. We got to acknowledge what is going on in our community. Don't be afraid to say it, and then sit down and say, what are we going to do about it? Because, like I said, for lack of a better term, it is an epidemic here in Richmond County. And if you ask me if I had the one wish and say, what can you do to help crime in Augusta, then, like I say, I would focus on, like I said, gun violence, especially among young black males.
Okay, so that's definitely one of your goals moving forward.
Absolutely.
Lessen that percentage, or
yeah. I mean, if somebody got the answer, I mean, give it to me. I mean, we're willing to go 10 toes down to alleviate that problem.
Yeah. So I mean, sitting here with you today, I've learned a lot, honestly, because I've never really been too deep in politics or numbers or statistics with what's going on around here, but I know from living here, of course, like I know certain people I went to school with that have gone on, being involved with other stuff, or people that's been arrested. So just being here and being around, I get to see a different viewpoint. But it sounds like you definitely know everything that's going on. You are very in tune. So that is a good thing to hear from your sheriff, to know that you are as involved as you are. So, well,
like I said, before I became sheriff, and I've been sheriff for 12 years. Before I became sheriff, I started preparing myself 8 years prior to be sheriff. So when people would ask me, "Hey, what's going on? Where you at?" and I'm like, "I'm 2 years into an 8-year plan." Next year passed, I'm 3 years into an 8-year plan. So I was setting myself up to the point where I wanted to be in a position that I could be the best possible sheriff Richmond County could ever have. And like I said, what motivated me, and I remember, like I said, I was working homicide, and I was lead homicide investigator. And one year, maybe halfway through the year, we had a large increase of homicides, again, especially like young black males. And again, that age group between 18 and 25 at the time. So I went and took a deep dive into all the numbers and started looking at them and trying to see what is something we're missing. What is a common factor? Is there something in here that is a contributing factor that these young black males are killing each other? I looked at all of them, and one stat stood out to me the most, and it wasn't, everybody said the 1 or 2 parent household, wasn't the neighborhood they lived in, wasn't the environment, wasn't no socioeconomic environment. Every person that I looked at, the common factor was not one of them who has been accused of homicide, not one of them had graduated high school. Not one of them had graduated high school. So at that point, I saw there's a direct correlation between the violent crime rate and the education system.
Education, right.
So, and you would think that I had cured cancer. I thought in my mind, I thought I had the answer. I run into my sheriff at the time, who I have utmost respect for. He taught me a lot, but I ran to him and told him, "Sheriff, look, there's a direct correlation between this violent crime rate and the graduation rate. We got to get involved in the education system. We got to do something with educating these kids." And he told me with a straight face that he was an old school sheriff, old school law enforcement officer. And he said, "Tree," because they called me Tree back then. He said, "Tree, my job as sheriff is not to educate them. My job is to lock them up." And at that point, I knew right then the only way I could change this system was to become sheriff. Because I had, my goal was become a lieutenant, become a captain over a division. And
right.
Never had aspiration to be sheriff. Never even thought about it. Wasn't even in my radar about about being sheriff. I did want to be, like I said, division commander and have some effect about it. But I knew then the only way that I would be able to truly affect change is to sit in the top seat. And that's when I decided I wanted to be sheriff. So, in 2000, that was in 2004. So in 2004, I started preparing myself to set myself up to be a sheriff. I went back to school, got my master's degree. Got selected to the FBI Academy, started doing some courses. I remember my mom when I went back for my master's degree, because actually my mom helped me pay for it. Mm-hmm. And she was like, "So when you get this degree now, you gonna get more money?" I said, "No, ma'am." "You gonna get a better job?" I said, "No, ma'am." And she said, well, "What we spend this money for? What you get it for?" And I remember, and I said, "No, it's not gonna help me right now." I said, "But it's gonna help me in the future."
Right.
Because I said when I did run for sheriff, because again now, I was the first African American sheriff in Richmond County. Mm-hmm. So I knew that was going to be challenging.
Absolutely.
But I said then, I said, when they come at me for sheriff, when they come and bring anything, the negative stuff, because back then, and you can kind of see a little bit now, it started again. Back then, politics was kind of ugly. Mm-hmm. I mean, races were real. They used to get personal, and it kind of got that way again, unfortunately, from the national standpoint. But back then, political race in Richmond County were really ugly. Mm-hmm. So I knew it was going to get ugly and nasty. So I had said to myself, no matter what they say about me, no matter what they bring or how these tactics go, they'll never say I wasn't qualified.
Right.
That's one thing that they'll never be able to say. They can say a whole bunch of other stuff, I said, but they'll never be when I'm on the ballot, they'll never say he's unqualified. So that was my motivation then. So like I said, I started 8 years prior to becoming sheriff. I was fortunate enough to get elected in 2012, and then, I've been continuing my education ever since then. I went to the National Sheriff Academy, graduated from the Harvard Kennedy School of Executive Education, senior management in Boston. So, for these 12 years, I've still been trying to improve myself to the fact that I can be the most effective leader that I possibly can. So, I'm still growing, still learning. I appreciate the compliment saying I got my pulse on everything, but not everything, but I try to. I try to be as well informed as I possibly can on a local standpoint and on the national level. What are we doing across the nation? What are the best practices across the nation? What are other people doing to engage me? So, I think that's where a lot of my success come, and then pass that on to my team let that vision and let them pass it on to the community.
So, the world is a place where they compare everything. Mm-hmm. So with what you're doing, your stats and everything, what is your response to people comparing you to other sheriffs or anybody else that's around? And I hear that a lot too.
I know, and that's what I try to get people to understand. You can't compare us. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't from what we do.
Right.
I tell them we're a service agency, and I will. And no one else does what we do. No one else does what we do. And people don't realize, and I give these stats out, and I gave them to the commission last year, people don't realize us being a service agency and being large as we are, we support so many counties. And I tell people, our SWAT team covers 6 different counties. Our K9 and our bomb squad cover 15 counties in Georgia, to include South Carolina. We have a biological tactical response team, covers 23 counties in Georgia.
Okay.
And people don't realize that.
Yeah.
So, when I was in
I didn't know that either. So.
Yeah, when I was in Sheriff-elect school, and they have all the new coming sheriffs come in, a lot of the existing sheriffs come in, and they break you up in the groups based on your size, mm-hmm. and based on what you do. And I asked the executive director then, Terry Norris, and I say, Terry, you have me in a group, what group I need to be in? And he said, I can't compare you to anybody else. Okay. He said, I have no group to put you mm-hmm.
in.
So I got into with the Atlanta group, with those. And he said, but because no one else does
right.
what we do. Because again, we're consolidated. We're also a consolidated agency. Mm-hmm. You look at Richmond County, like I said, we got 200,000 citizens. And like I say, Columbia County, they answer about 86,000 calls for service. We answer over 423,000. There's no comparison there.
Yeah, no.
You think about Burke County, who has 25,000 people. They have a sheriff office, and they have a 30-man police department. We don't have that in Richmond County. we do all that. Think about this: 25,000 people, and you got a sheriff office and a PD.
Right.
In Richmond County, you got 200,000 people, 300,000 when you swell in a military base that provides for. And you have Hepsburg PD, you got Blythe that has one officer, and we do everything else.
One officer.
There's no comparison there.
Right.
And that's what people don't realize. You want to compare us to other agencies, and you can't, because no one does what we do.
Yeah.
When we say we're the largest full-service sheriff office in the state of Georgia, that's because we are. We didn't make that. That is, the statistics tell us that we are the largest. So how can you compare the largest full-service sheriff office in the state, not just in the region, in the state of Georgia? How do you compare them to any other local agencies? It is unfair to do so. And that's why I said, going back to what I told people, I don't mind you having an opinion, just have an informed opinion.
Yeah, you gotta have something to back up your opinion. Huh?
Correct.
But I appreciate you, Sheriff, for coming on. That's really all I have for you. So I had some guideline questions for you, but conversation went another way, so we just flow with it.
Well, good. Like I said, I look forward to thank you for joining our team, and I look forward to you growing the podcast, and not just on this, but our other social media and some of our aspects to tell our story. So, I'm entrusting you to tell our story. I'm excited about having you on board, and I'm looking forward to your great product. That video you did for us with the graduation at the jail. Last time I saw it had over 8,000 views.
Okay.
The last time I checked. And that's huge. That's something we didn't have a presence for. So I appreciate you, and I hope the people look forward to seeing the product that you put out and pushing our message forward.
All right. I thank you for giving me the opportunity. But
all right.
I continue to do what I can and see how we can all grow together.
All right. We'll see what your fan base do. The other host fan base didn't grow as strong as we as quickly as we wanted to. So I will be watching your fan base.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Sheriff. Thank you so much.